This video is for the opener for Geometry Chapter 11, assignment number 4, and it would be a good idea for you to try this on your own and only use this video to check your answers. But if you need help, then follow along, and hopefully this will get you the information and the skills that you need to be able to do this on your own. So the first question is just to find the area of a circle. So you're given that the radius is 9. And you should know that the area of the circle is pi times the radius squared. So it's pi times 9 squared, or 81 pi. Then you should type into your calculator 81 times pi, and it comes out to be 254.47. And since this is in inches, then these are both inches squared. The next one is to find the area of the sector of the circle. So instead of finding the area of the whole circle, we're just finding the area of the part that has a 70-degree central angle. And so it's still going to involve the formula pi r squared, but we don't want the whole pi r squared. We only want a portion of it. So the area of the sector is equal to 70 out of 360 times pi times the radius, which is 3, squared. Pi times the radius squared. So in simplifying this, 70 over 360 can be 7 over 36, and this will be 9 pi. I can think of that as over 1. And I want this to simplify as much as I can, so I'm going to factor the 9 and the pi can be written as individual factors, and the 36 is 9 times 4. And so then the 9's cancel, and the area is 7 pi over 4 inches squared. And as a decimal, that comes out to be 5.50. If I were doing this one on the calculator, it would be, you see that okay? 7 times pi divided by 4. 5.497, which rounds up to 5.50. Alright, next one is to find the area of a regular polygon. That's a formula that you should have just gotten from last class. The area is 1/2 the apothem times the perimeter. And the perimeter in this case is 14 for the outside. One side is 14, and it's a regular polygon, so they're all 14, and there are 5 sides. So it's 14 times 5, which is 70. And the apothem is 9.6, so the area will be 1/2 of 9.6 times 70. Which comes out to be 336. And it did not give me any units on this one, but I can still say square units is a good idea. You leave that off, but you try to do it most of the time, it'll be close enough. Alright, so find the exact simplified form and the decimal approximation, just practicing some algebra skills here. That will be 10 pi over 9 minus pi times 1/3 times 1/3 is 1/9. So this is 10 pi over 9 minus pi over 9, or 1 pi over 9, ends up equaling 9 pi over 9, which is just pi. And so the decimal approximation is 3.14. All right, number 5 is a square inside of a circle. And if I go to kind of make a plan for my area, it would be the circle, subtract the square. And for the circle, I need to know the radius. And for the square, I need to know the base and the height, which are both 6, so I already know those. But what's tricky about this problem is that we don't know the radius. I do know that the base and the height of the square are 6 and 6, so I can fill that in. The radius of this circle is just that length, but I think I'm going to need to find the diameter first and take advantage of the fact that this is a square. And then to get the diameter, I can do that a couple different ways. The easiest way is to know your 30, 60, 90, 45, 45, 90 triangle. And remember that that is, if we've got the legs, x and x, that the hypotenuse is just x root 2. And I know that the triangle involved here is a 45, 45, 90 because it's an isosceles right triangle. So the angles have to be equal, which means they have to be 45. The acute angles have to be equal since it's isosceles, and this one's already 90, so then those have to be 45. So I know that the diameter of this circle, 6, 6, and 6 root 2. If you didn't remember that you could use that, then you could have used the Pythagorean theorem. 6 squared plus 6 squared equals the diameter squared. And you would get to this 6 root 2 eventually. It just takes a few more steps. So if the diameter is 6 root 2, then the radius is half of that, or 3 root 2. So that is what goes there. And then that's a little tricky to simplify, so let's go through that. You got this on your own without the video, you're doing great. So pi and 3 root 2 times 3 root 2, 6 times 6 is 36. 3 times the 3 is 9, and root 2 times root 2 is root 4. You might have just skipped to 9 times 2. The square root of 4 is just 2. And so my overall exact area is 18 pi minus 36. And that decimal approximation is 20.55. And since it's in square centimeters, I should add those units. Technically, this is square centimeters also. Okay, hope that helps. And this is definitely not quite a challenge level, but more difficult than most of the problems on things in this chapter. Not so much just the circle minus the square, but having to use the special right triangle to get the diameter and then having to square the 3 root 2. That makes it a pretty challenging problem. So it's okay if you needed help on that. Thanks for watching.